Okay, welcome back to the stage, Director Lawrence Kahn. Let's see. So, first of all, as you may by now, if you've come to a few screenings, we have two volunteers, one on each side of the room. They have pieces of paper and pencils. And so I know you have questions, just flag them, they'll come to you, and you write down the questions, give it back to them. And then I will take those questions later. I'll ask Director Ken a few questions first. And volunteers, if you get a handful of questions, five or more, feel free to come up to the stage and bring them to me then. So, wow, quite a film. When I saw it, the first thing I thought, and we sort of talked about this, but I thought this must have taken a while to make, from the idea to screen. And I wanted to know, I don't know about the specific stories, but I understand that this is close to what really happened. So can you tell us your story of how this story inspired you to make this movie and the path exactly from that idea to getting it produced and all the challenges you faced?
It's been 5 years, and I remember first time I read the article about the care home scandal in Hong Kong. It's a shock in Hong Kong, and I just got triggered by that news, by that article. But I don't want to make a story just about that particular issue or event, and that's why I make a phone some like few phone calls. I call the journalists behind the news, and then I talk to them, and I find it like it's way more complicated. And then when the news was published in Hong Kong, and then that care homes became the first care homes got banned by the government. So it made a huge impact. And then I asked the journalists, well, like it's like a heroic thing you guys have made, and then what what were the response from the families? And then surprisingly, they were like some of them like of course like being thankful to them, but some of them like even like blame them or like even swear to them because somehow this situation make them like homeless.
They blamed the journalists?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah, the families.
like in the film.
Yeah, yeah, and I I was shocked, and I think, but that perspective is something that I want to explore. So I start to write the script like 5 years ago, and yeah, that's the story behind it.
And so, I mean, I know just for being around film, I understand why these things are so hard, but why do you think it took so long to get? It was because this story is so delicate, or?
No, it's a financing problem. Like it's so difficult to find uh, uh, investors to finance. Uh, there were like ups and downs, and at some point I almost just like gave up this story. I thought like I'm not gonna make it, but I have to say like special thanks to my producer Derek Yee, like he's a legendary filmmaker in Hong Kong, and then without his support, like all these 5 years, I don't think I can make this film, and 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 again I have to say thanks to Mr. Cool, like Louis Cool, and then and he read the script somehow, and then somehow it's kind of drifted him a lot too, and then it became so quick. I think I gave him the script like let's say today like 6 p.m. and then somehow I think I bumped into him like an event or rap party like tomorrow something like one day after, and then he saw me and then, oh, you're the guy who wrote the script. I was like, yeah, I'm that guy. And then and he just keep like telling me about comments and suggestions. He read the whole script and then he likes it a lot, and he really think that it's a story that should be made. So yeah, and then he funded the project.
So, you mentioned a little bit about your research. Can you tell us what kind of research? First of all, I want to say that, as you mentioned, two stories come out of here. There's the story of the terrible things that happen at the care homes and to the families. There's also the stories of investigative journalism.
Yeah.
And that was fascinating to me, as you mentioned. So, and it seems that that's what sort of drove your script. So, can you talk about how that happened and how you did your research on both sides?
Because this story is like a combination of different cases, not just
Right.
one particular cases. And I talked to the journalists behind it. I talked to like all the journalists who involved in all these cases. I talked to the victims' families. I talked to the social worker, and then I try to get more perspectives instead of just make a like a hero like a superhero movie. No, I'm not trying to do that.
Yeah.
I try to make it as real as I can because I really want to carry that struggle and sadness with the victims. And but also it's not just about their like struggles. Also back to the story, it's somehow reflect to us too, right?
Yeah.
It reflect to humanities. It reflect like everyone will get old, everyone will get sick, but but yeah, this is story about humans instead of just particular that issue. Yeah.
So, you're a trained filmmaker and you've been working and making you've made features. This is your third feature, basically, right?
This second one.
So,
Yeah.
okay, we'll say the second one.
Yeah.
And how did because another thing that struck me is that really, like I said when we introduced the film, it's ripped from the headlines. It feels like a real story, yet you have a great dramatic arc, a narrative structure. So, how did you meld the reality with fiction, and were there any challenges for you to do that here?
Uh, Besides the because we're not making documentaries, right? But besides the the real cases, this story is actually personal too. There's a lot of personal feelings I try to hidden under it. So I don't think it's challenges through the story when we develop the concept, but I I I actually portray that idea in the film too. What filmmakers are similar to journalists, because somehow when we make the story, we actually worry about like we will hurt the victims in
Mhm.
some way again. But as the line I try to put it in, uh, if that thing is like a right thing and don't regret it, like that's how I it's like an imaginary friend. I try to picture like a guy to talk to me. There was a joke. My art director say the character of David Chang.
Mhm.
The outlook it's kind of looks like when I'm getting like 70s or 80s. It looks like me, and I was like, oh shit, yes, yeah, and maybe that's me. I don't know.
Well, that's speaking of David Chang, it's a great cast. And for example, we here at Nyaff at New York Asian Film Festival, we had Jennifer Yu as a guest a few years ago. We're all fans of hers, and we know David Chang from his wuxia and kung fu films.
Yeah,
Talk about the casting, and beyond that, you also have actors that are playing the mentally what's the I'm going to
Rachel.
mess up the politically correct term, but yes,
Yeah,
the
Rachel.
mentally disabled
Yeah.
people. So can you talk about the casting process and getting them in some of those really tough roles, especially the villain?
Yeah, I think the casting process it's difficult too. We especially for the role for Xiuling, but Rachel made it in the final round. Uh, but I remember in the first day shooting, I saw David Chang and Wu Feng, Bowie Wu.
Right.
Uh, because like all these 30 years they were working in TV it's a lot, but somehow maybe the young generation forget about how like they were legends, they were film legends back in the days, and I was so overwhelming when I saw them both happen in my film. I would like to tell my grandma like she passed away, but I really want to tell her like did I make you proud? I was shooting like David Chang and Wu Feng both together. It's like putting like 60 heroes in and the legends in 70s all together in my film. I was thrilled.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was they would have had no problem. They were like, "Yeah, we're happy to work with you. We all feel the same rage you feel and want to contribute to this project."
I won't say happy. I think
Yeah, I had
they
to use
were
my words
happy.
carefully.
Yeah, but because during the shoot, it's a very heavy topic, and we were so focused. I think the main challenge in the film, it's the mental challenge for me, and for all the actors, and even the DP or everyone actually, because it's too heavy. And I remember it's the same day we shot the sexual abuse scene and the suicide scene, and yeah, it's too heavy for one day, and nobody's talking to each other. Nobody is making fun to each other. We were so focused, but um, after the shooting, we met again. Especially Rachel, she told me like she actually never really talked to me during the shoot. We only talk about like the way we want to shoot. But after the shooting, and then we grab a drink, and then she started to know more about me. It's like I'm not that kind of like serious crazy guy. She told me, and especially because I like before the birthday, like I was making comedy, and people
Right,
were
right, right.
people was like, wow, it's like whole different like kind of vibe. So yeah, after the shooting, we were happy, but during the shoot, it's kind of heavy, yeah, and
Right.
serious.
In case you don't know, Lawrence works on a TV show called In Geek We Trust,
Yeah,
which is completely different kind of
yeah, yeah.
content. So yeah. Okay, I'm going to take a question from the audience. Thank you. This is almost like a documentary. What does justice under this system mean for you, and what can we do as citizens?
Like at the end of this film, I'm not trying to make a like a superhero film. I try to put it another way because I know everyone knows this is reality. Like we try so hard to make changes and we always want to change the world, but somehow the reality is cruel. It's sad. But what is hero to me? Like even though the reality is sad and cruel, at the end, the last shot of the film, there were people are still doing the so-called stupid things because we didn't make change, but sometimes we chose to be good, but we don't get the reward. But there are people still making changes. At least maybe we can change someone like near us.
Mhm.
Start from small, yeah, and then maybe we can make a huge impact after. Yeah, that's what I thought. People thought that the movie it's too sad and there's no hope, but somehow to me, I think this is the real hope to me. I think hope is like an attitude. We Hope is not like I do something good, then I hope for the rewards. It's not a birthday wish, but I think hope is like even though the world, the society is so sad and so cruel, but there's people still doing it. Some people still believe it. I think we have to keep believing it.
I think having the story like you did told from the reporter's um, point of view, and because she's driven just like you are driven, tell us that maybe she's also a stand-in for you. I think that gives it that feeling of hope, even though it is very sad.
Right.
Okay, another question. This raised up my thoughts by the end of the movie when the care house was shut down. Lots of people needed resettlements. Some of them even blaming the journalists, which we talked about, right? um, which is sad but understandable. I am wondering, what's your idea on a balance between chasing a broader social justice while it may hurt people who engaged from a micro perspective as consequences? Sorry if I'm mangling your question. So, how do you see a balance between choosing a broader social justice while it also might cause other problems for these people?
Well, as I say, like the line, if it's the right thing, don't regret it. Yeah, it's hard to give out like an absolute answer because I don't know too. It's so hard. It's tough for filmmakers and journalists. I think it's our struggle actually, but somehow like gut feelings, you think it's the right thing, you should keep doing it. I think. and don't regret about it.
Okay. And all these questions are really segueing into each other. I work in special education, and this hit very close to home. Abuse of such vulnerable people. Has anything improved at all? I appreciate that the film does not pretend to have any easy answer.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
So you don't think the situation has gotten better
No,
with this?
I don't think so.
Yikes.
I don't think so. Maybe like a little bit, but not like fixed it. Yeah, I don't think so. But the film is not out yet, so maybe I mean the articles published it make a huge impact.
Hmm.
Actually, the government start to they actually did something. To be fair, okay, fine. They actually did something, but it's not enough. I think they can do better. They can do it better.
And just the continuation from this question is: was there any uproar over Ming's death in the real story?
Uh, I don't get it.
Ming's.
Over Mings. Was there any?
Which character is that?
Oh, okay. Because I was yeah, I only remember his Chinese character's name.
Okay.
It's a real case actually. It's a real case, and the the original story of Ming's character, it's so sad. They didn't get any what's that called I shouldn't say that, like they didn't get any money back, but how should I say
Oh, I
uh,
forget what the word is, but
re, re,
thank you.
they can't get it because the court the death court say it's like he died from suicide instead of
Oh,
it's it's sad, yeah.
it's an impossible battle. It sounds
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
Okay. What message do you want to convey based on this specific film title? The English title is In Broad
In broad
Daylight.
daylight.
Yeah.
It's actually the same in Chinese.
Okay.
In broad daylight. It's in a cinematic world. We always thought all the crimes, all the evil things are happening in the night. That's why we have Batman. No, but in real world, we don't have Batman. We have journalists. We have social workers. We have you guys. We have filmmakers. But all those evil things are happening around us in broad daylight. That's why I call it in broad daylight. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe a tricky question. This is a very strong film, very powerful. I can't imagine the government was excited about it. Did you have any kind of pushback whatsoever?
I would pray for that. I'm not sure. I don't know. Like, yeah. You mean like, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, so far, so the film is not released in Hong Kong
No,
yet,
not
right?
yet. Finger cross.
But it will be.
Finger cross. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll see if it mixes up, if it stirs things up and gets, more things going on.
Finger cross. To be honest, it's I got advice from my film company. They had a good faith that I'm sure they not I'm sure they were sure like the film is going to be okay. So I trust them and yeah, I should have faith too. Yeah.
Right. So this is the heaviest film that you've done in your career, or the heaviest production you've done in your career so far. Did you do anything close to this, or?
Well, it's so lame, but comedy is sometimes like same as like tragedy. So yeah, but yeah, I think this is. But I haven't I haven't done a lot of features. So yeah, this is the most heaviest or
Right.
serious theme I've ever made so far.
Well, that's interesting. Can you talk more about the relation between comedy and your background in comedy and tragedy?
No, it's not my background comedy. Like
Oh, no.
no, no, but like I think like usually when I uh, want to develop a script or like a story, there must be something trigger me or
Right.
driven me, right? Then I would think like what kind of genre or treatment like I should work on the story or work on that particular issue or yeah. And then for I've done a TV series called In Geek We Trust. People say it's whoa, thank you, thank you, thank you. Someone saw it, yeah, yeah, and yeah, thank you, yeah, actually, much appreciate. It's I'm so happy. Like there were the friends, like and then I would start talk to my writers, like see what kind of angle or perspective we can do. But for In Geek We Trust, we chose comedy, but you know in Hong Kong, people when you talk about comedy, they would think about the comedian first. Like who are you casting? Like who? Because they always think like is it funny enough? But to me, I really want to make a comedy like a cringe comedy. We focus on the situation. We focus on the script. But it's common here because it's like this the sitcom here it's very mature. But in Hong Kong, they only rely on the comedians. That's why I really want to make something different. It's common here, but in Hong
Right.
Kong, it's
Right.
like
Sure.
too. Yeah. So yeah, then I make In Geek We Trust. But for this is somehow similar. When I got driven by the articles, I think it's hard to make it like a comedy for this kind of thing. Yeah, it's so hard.
Absolutely. I
So
would
but
hope so.
yeah, so I try to make it as real as I can. That's why maybe some audience like say it is almost looks like a documentary, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But so far, if I'm not mistaken, all of your work have come from your own, like you said, your inspiration or your ideas. But you also mentioned working with writers on In Geek We Trust. So, for example, was that concept for the show from you, or were you brought on? Were you hired to do it, or do you always start with an idea that you want to see
It's
on
actually the
screen?
same group of the writers, but
Okay.
I think I am the one always brought the idea to the table, and then we because there's someone like I trust a lot, and then they know a lot of my secrets, so I work closely with them. So actually, I have in broad daylight this idea first, but like all these 5 years is so hard to get finance, and somehow we were so frustrating, and then I just start making the In Geek We Trust first, and
Okay.
then yeah, yeah.
I just have a couple more questions. The first one is in broad daylight. Were there any particular shots or scenes or moments or any one such moment that you're particularly proud of and why? And it's a two-part question. And do you have any regrets about something that you wish you had done another way?
I always regret actually, even though I wrote that line, like if it's the right thing, don't be regret. But yeah, I always regret. But there's always like when you watch your own film, like there's a lot of things you want to do better, uh, 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 or you do it another way. But there's a lot actually. I don't want to say it here, but because it's a lot. But it's locked. So yeah, it's yeah. I won't say it. But the particular shot that I was proud of.
Shot, moment, scene, dialogue, directing moment with actor, anything that
That
comes.
moment when the ending in the rain, when David Chang looked back, that shot, the camera, the DP, the cameraman, the cam op, cried.
Wow.
Yeah, I think yeah, I'm proud of that. Yeah, that's a proud moment for me. He was crying like my DP told me that you know the B cam like just cried because of just that particular look back, that shot. Yeah, I think uh David Chan like did a like marvelous job. Like I think he's excellent, and yeah, I feel like overwhelming like having these like film legends to be in my film.
Well, you obviously know what you're doing. The last question is, can you give us a sneak preview of what you're one of the things you may be working on next?
uh, there's a film called Marriage Drive. It's it's not a comedy. It's a romance story. So it talks about marriage. So it's a different genre. We're working on the script. Actually, it talks about divorce. Oh shit! It's very sad. I'm such a depressed person. Oh my god. And so many people in Hong Kong ask me if there is a season 2 for In Geek We Trust. We will see. Yeah, we will see.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll
Great.
see. Still working on it.
We look forward to it all. Thank you so much, Lawrence.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you.